learned from the lesson. Live in the here, but still get expressed. Some wanna live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Fingers to the down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. I got your watch list, and we need to talk about nothing being priced in. Yes, absolutely nothing is priced in right now as it relates to earnings. So we're going to talk about that. I got a nice, pretty picture for you. But before we get into that, let me give you one more fun fact about the day. Today was the lowest trading volume of the year. So you probably noticed we got off to a pretty weird start, but the volume and activity was low. But now let me share this quote with you. Here it is. Quote, the stock market has not already priced in possible upcoming declines in earnings estimates for this year or next. That's Matt Maley, chief market strategist at Miller Talbach. And he said, even if earnings estimates stay stable, and especially if they decline, the stock market is going to have to fall further before we see an important bottom. So that's just the quote, but this is what I'm talking about. It relates to the keys I'm going to show you. This right here is the S&P 500 overlaid with the forward EPS for a lot of these companies. I showed you this a couple weeks ago, but now this is what people are bringing up because, again, today's move was very, very key. We're going to talk about the levels, but the point is we didn't really move, but in these last couple of weeks, the market has gone low, the market has stayed low, but earnings estimates have not changed, and none of that is priced in. So that's the big thing moving forward. We're going to talk about it a little bit. I got the rest of the recap as far as what happened today, why we saw the volatility that we did, and then what should we expect for the rest of the week. So drop your thumbs up on the video, make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. I don't know when to do this anymore. I don't know why, but hopefully we see you there in the morning. I got a couple of plays here for the day too, so let's just get right into it. As far as the keys, again, today was a very low volume day. You probably noticed there was a high amount of anticipation. There was a lot of things we talked about, but there was no data. You got no data this morning. Tomorrow, there's literally one thing on the schedule, and it's very minor. We're not getting any data until Wednesday. We will get a couple of earnings, but today was filled with a lot of other things. So the China news from yesterday, that came into play. The oil and energy news, that came into play. Even people were talking this morning about the jobs report and how it really wasn't that hot, and after spending the whole weekend to interpret it, people weren't too excited, but really at the end of the day, you really saw the dollar go crazy, and we had a lot of volatility here in the morning, but then pretty much the rest of the day we didn't do anything. We went to lows right at open, chilled out. It's something we saw, and that's why I think it's kind of surprising today actually ended up being one of the lower volume days. So that was the real big thing. Again, people are anticipating the CPI. They're trying to figure it out. We talked about it today. The thing about the CPI on Wednesday is that one of the big answers, and the big answer is the Fed going to raise 75 or 50? They're most likely already doing 75. So again, people are waiting for that data, and we're going to see how it reacts. But for the most part, it seems like there was a little bit of wait and see and anticipation, especially on the earnings side. But that was the big thing. Like I said, we talked about China and the oil news from yesterday. That really did linger heavy today. Again, there was news in China about potential bank runs, and then there was an update there. They ended up closing down Macau like we talked about, but it was just overall very negative because now this could start bringing oil down. People are talking about if China is going to shut down ports and all of that, but like we've been saying, we said it yesterday, just don't forget what happened all of last week, especially today. Now, the dollar has been the real story, and with all these things happening, then the dollar rocketing up, the euro getting clapped, that is probably where a majority of any market negativity has emerged from the last couple days. And I'll tell you, if it does keep continuing, if you haven't noticed the dollar, last time we were here, the whole entire economy shut down. So just keep keep this in mind. But if this goes crazy, this will continue to be the big story. But until then, it's going to be all about earnings in the CPI. And then even finally here, you could take a look at the range here with the SPY. This is what I want to show you. You could see the last 2 weeks and kind of how the market is moved. And well, here's the final key. Until we break 370 on the low or go past 400 on the high, I don't think anything really matters. Phone call. Sorry about that, but like I'm saying, until we break out of those ranges, again, we've been at these points these last couple of weeks. It's been very, very stubborn, but until the CPI or earnings comes in, I don't think any moves above or below or in between this range, I don't think they're really going to matter. So keep your eyes out for that. If you're not catching the whole gist here, CPI on Wednesday, that's going to be the next big thing. But now if there's going to be anything that's going to upset the market, or is going to have a very, very big effect, chances are it's going to be all about the earnings, and any surprises there, that is probably going to dictate the next move. So very straightforward. That was pretty much it for it. Again, tomorrow, low volume day already. We're not expecting much, but let's see what happens with the dollar, bonds, and everything else. And hopefully we could get some good earnings setups, but let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. We only made one play today, and I did it on Coca-Cola. We talked about this yesterday, and this is now going to be the logic for another earnings play, but let's start with the first one. It's not related to earnings at all. We brought this up last week. Boeing, if you don't remember, they had a lot of good news, then bad news, then good news, then bad news last week, but take a look at this daily chart. They've kind of been doing their own thing and haven't been moving, so I would keep them on watch, because depending on how we play out news and, again, especially earnings with a company like Boeing, I think this one could be a really, really big one. And by now, a lot of the premiums on both sides have been crushed. So I am going to be looking for an opportunity there, or at least that's one where I'm seeing, hey, it can move big. And now the premiums have calmed down from a couple of weeks ago. There definitely could be an opportunity there. So going to be watching Boeing. That is the first one. Then the second play now, this is related to the earnings, Bank of America. So we talked about Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. Those are the plays that I'm already in related to banks, and I kept it small. But the thing I like about Bank of America, it reports a little bit later. So we're going to start off the earnings season on Wednesday, Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. Then Thursday, you're going to get, I believe, Wells Fargo. But then after that, leading into the next week, then you're going to get Bank of America. So why do I like this play? Pretty much, you could play it for earnings run up. You have a lot of time to catch the earnings run up. And then after we get the first couple of earnings, we will still be awaiting there. So hopefully it gives you a much more clearer cut idea. But if you're not understanding the logic with these plays, like somebody asked, they're like, why did you play Coca-Cola this morning instead of going for Pepsi? It's because Pepsi is going to be reporting tomorrow morning. So there's already that earnings premium, you know, leading into the day before earnings, people start to jack up the prices. People want to make a play on it. The premium goes higher. So the fact that Coca-Cola doesn't have people rushing in ahead of earnings, chances are the premiums will be lower. And then whatever Pepsi does, if they have a really good or a really bad beat, that should drive Coca-Cola up as a sympathy play. So the idea with any of these plays, by going for the sympathy instead of the actual company reporting, we are trying to get slightly cheaper option plays that could still have the ability and catalyst to move up. And then best of all, if you could get it off of the sympathy and then your contract covers the earnings, you might even be able to hit a double whammy. So that's the second play. Keep that in mind. Definitely going to be looking at that one. And then finally, baby, VGK, baby. All of the Europe plays, I still really like it. Again, if you didn't know what happened yesterday, Nord Stream got shut down for maintenance. It is a 10-day plan. However, if it doesn't come back online because of Russian action or whatever, that would lead to a very, very dismal, awful situation for Europe. We've talked about EWGs. Unfortunately, ours are about to expire, and I still like EWG, but we talked about it today. The prices are still expensive. They're literally, anything with time costs as much money as it did when we first announced the play, and those really aren't favorable prices if you think about it. But the one thing I have noticed, the VGK, we made that play the same time as EWG. We're up on that play. It's up a couple 100%. It does catch some of the, you know, Europe stuff, and again with Euro and the Euro and everything we saw today, pretty bad. But I'm liking VGK pretty much until EWG gets cheaper. I've noticed bigger moves on VGK. The premiums are willing to pay you out. I think if we are going to make any sort of double down on this play, I am going to start looking at the VGKs, or at the very least, if the dollar keeps going up and we see anything wrong with oil in Europe, that will be bad. But even alone, if the dollar keeps clapping to Europe, that very well may be an opportunity. So I'm still holding those Septembers. I sold one of them to make them free. Otherwise, we're holding the other one. It's around like 170, 200% right now. Not too bad, but those are the main plays. We'll see how everything lines up tomorrow. Again, it has been a little bit more calm, and even as far as today, I only made one play. I grabbed a Coca-Cola. This one very, very small, and this should even highlight, again, pre-earnings. You don't really have to go too big, and if you catch a move, it can be good, but I grabbed the $65 calls for this week, July 15th. Only grabbed one for $12. Nothing too crazy, so we'll see how it plays out. But again, my plan is start small now. As we get more earnings data, then we could start getting big, because like I told you yesterday, we talked about it today, don't forget how last earnings play out. You remember, we started earnings with the banks, and everyone was like, yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, the banks are doing good. Oh man, this is exciting. This is exciting. The Target came in, and now the consumer and the I know, I'm sorry, I'm getting way too hyped, but I want you to understand this, because literally, it started good last week, or last earnings season, then Target came in, and people were like, oh shit, then Walmart, and then people started freaking out, then you had the Snapchat, and then people were really, really worried, and then what happened? Dollar General crept in with a good report, then it was Dollar Tree with a good report, then Nordstrom's crept in with a good report, and before you know it, everybody was like, oh yeah, we were just overestimating the fear and all of that, and then everything bounced up. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the first leg that we get off to on earnings isn't really going to describe the situation. So that being said, I'm keeping that in mind to start off a little smaller. As we get more clarity, we could start to scale up and ramp up. So watch out for that. But that Coca-Cola was the only other play I made. I sold out of the Tesla for some profit. That one was surprising. Remember, I grabbed it last week. I was down 50%. It came up today. I sold out at like 11.60. Nice 20 to 30% profit. Got out of that. We could have made like 50 or 60 if I wasn't so scared by it. But Elon hurt me. I don't know what's happening. But that was pretty much it. Like I said, as far as everything else, going to be watching some of those bank plays, some of the earnings, everything going on there in Europe. And then if we could see any more volatile plays that actually are cheap, that's going to be the next thing. Unfortunately, I talked about this one yesterday and today too. The premiums right now, I wanted to go for earnings plays, but 4 or 5%, NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, it makes things a little bit harder. So hopefully the next couple of days in pre-earnings gives us an opportunity to set up, but we'll see what happens. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I told you yesterday, don't forget about the future self. You listening to me right now is for your future self. So whatever, oh my, I'm telling you, I didn't have a chance to philo today, but we need to break this down. I hope you guys have been working on your habits. I hope you realize right now the way to win the bear market is to lose the least. Yes, everybody's getting clapped. Oh yes, look around. Don't let them fool you, baby. But who's gonna be smart is whoever got the reserves. That's word to Joseph, baby. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they don't feel me, but Chad, I love you. Drink that water, stay hydrated, stay healthy, and stay in the game. And God bless you for praying for me. Thank you, guys. I love you. God bless you. I say I love you, Chad. I love you. Let's go. It's game time. Good night. Bye. Is this like a phone home type of thing? I can't do that. Can you do that? I can't do it forward. Oh! Okay, goodbye.